All right, shalom, Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. In Hebrews, what I want to show how that the people placed in our land in 722 BC, how it was basically the scribes the scribes from Babylon, from Sipper and Nipper, but mostly Sipper and Pekod. That's Pekod. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to show you Israelites. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Alright, Israelites, while we Israelites were slipping on the Egyptian religion that was given to our people, during Jeroboam time, and then how that we never recovered. We never recovered. We never recovered from being on Egyptian religion to where it destroyed us. But Almighty Yah, smarter than, everybody. And then how, I guess, that the people that was placed in our land, they was also kindred to the people that's been in our heritage from the beginning. They're Amorites. The Sephardi groups are Amorites. The Sephardi, that's Sephardi, Sephardi, and they're Amorites, and they was placed in our land. They was placed in our land. The scribes from Babylon, the ones that put the books together, the religion together, they was placed in our land in 722 BC. These groups right here from Sephardim, and then that translate, it used to translate, I got some videos where it translate, you can see it, and I'm showing you that Sephardim translate into Sephardi, but they see what I was doing and what was going on to where that they went in the computer and changed it. It don't do that no more, but it's still plenty of history around it, showed that the Sephardis, and Sephardim is interchangeable. The Sephardic and the Sephardim, they all Sephardis. It's going to be those mixed with the Europeans and so forth. The Sephardic and the Sephardim is going to be the ones mixed with the Arabs and the Africans and Chinese, and the ones with a little pigmentation and so forth. But they come from Sephardim, and they was placed in our land during a critical time when we Israelites was at our worst. I'm talking about at our worst. Man, it couldn't get no worse than that. Is that when we were on Egyptian religion, and we got on Egyptian religion from Jeroboam, from the tribe of Ephraim. He come out of Egypt after Solomon had chased him there, after he found out that he was going to be the ruler. Now, let me tell y'all something, man, that you might not know, that Almighty Yah be expecting us to do the best and come out good from the start. He giving you the benefit of the doubt when he say, well, they going to do good, and they going to do good, and they going to do right. And then we turn around and break bad. That would make Almighty Yah furious. And that's what was happening to us in the past, probably all the way up to now. But how, that's like when he said, when the exiles come back from Babylon after being captured during the Babylonian wars, our last act on the promised land in the book of Jeremiah, you'll see where the Creator giving us the benefits. You know what I'm saying? Saying we're going to come back and we're going to be all right and do all right. And then we break bad, and then that's what happened to the exiles. When they come back from Babylon, they were supposed to do right and be right. And then that's the book of Ezra, Nehemiah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. Those 5 prophets cover the exiles. That's the exiles prophet. All right, Israelites, I want to, show y'all this little history right here of how that they created a heritage. This group right here created a heritage in a religion off of our broken covenant. Off our broken covenant. I'm gonna show this. Alright, man, if you go to Second Kings, that'll be Second Kings 17:24. And then we're gonna see, this is when the king of Assyria, placed these folks in our land, these Babylonian scribes. Alright, this. Alright. The king of Assyria brought people from Babylon, Cutter, Ava, Hamath, and Sepharvaim. You see Sepharvaim right there? And he settled them in the towns of Samaria in place of the Israelites. They took possession of Samaria and dwelt in the towns. When they first settled there, they did not know to worship the Elohim. So the Elohim sent lions against them, which killed some of them. And the king of Assyria, and they brought back one of those Jeroboam priests, because this is in the northern kingdom. The northern kingdom, controlled it, Samaria and so forth. And then as you read, man, and then it get down to this most critical part. Look, you see that word, Sepharvaim. They worship the Elohim. But they also appointed from their own ranks priests of the shrines who officiated for them in the occult places. Now those people from the shrines is gonna be them schools and those places where they worship the Babylonian gods. They was the keepers of it. Matter of fact, the Babylonian gods and traditions couldn't exist now today if it wasn't for them being involved as they are involved now. Look, they worship the Elohim, but they also appointed from their own ranks priests of the shrines who officiated for them in the cult places. They worshiped the Elohim while serving their own gods, according to the practice of the nations from which they had been departed. To this day, they follow their former practice. They do not worship the Elohim properly. You see what I'm saying? Properly. And then that's going to be the creation of the religion, Judaism, where they done took our culture and intertwine it with their Babylonian culture. And that's where you get Judaism from. Look, they do not follow the laws and practice the teachings and instructions that the Elohim joined upon the descendants of Jacob, who was given the name Israel, with whom he made a covenant, in whom he commanded, ye shall worship no other gods, and ye shall not bow down to them, nor serve them, nor sacrifice to them. Alright, it's going to be them that's kind of like, man, they create religions and God's sons. And then as you see in the Tanakh, where it says they do not worship the Elohim properly because they're not Israelites. And then that's why they read the Torah, but then if you look at their religion and in the way that they conduct themselves, you'll say, man, it's just not all the way like, coming out the Torah and what, the Israelites believed in and how they got additives. They try to say that those are teachings from the rabbis, that Moses taught some folks and then they taught some folks and then that's all false. That's all false. And then how that they got our heritage and then took it back to Babylon and Pekod. You know what I'm saying? Where they had Babylonian schools and so forth, and then they dissected the Torah and then created religion off of it, and then that'll be what you call Judaism. Look at this right here. Look, Pekod. Man, if you look at Pekod, man, it's right near Cutter and they ain't putting Sipper there, but this is very important. And I believe that Pekod was right next to Sipper, because if you look on the map, You know, Sipper right there mean it's where the settler-deportees come from, and them the ones that control our heritage under the title settler-deportee, but they come from Sipper, Sepharvim, and it's where the whole Babylonian system, everything that we have here in America, far as judicial and administrative, comes from this place. You know, I got a video showing that the ancient Amorites families settled America, and then put the first system together. You know, and then I can even show in the secret relationship between the blacks and the Jews, how that they showing how Ashkenazi come later, the East Germans and the Jews from basically France and German and all them parts, how they come over later kind of dusty, and how it was a system already in place. You know, that's why some people get confused and say black people own their own people in the slavery days here in America, not knowing that the Edomite Sephardim had pigmentation. You see what I'm saying? And they would have kids that have pigmentation. I'm gonna do a video on that one day, but how they have kids that got pigmentation, and people would think that they was, so-called black folks or Israelites, that done risen up from captivity, but how that's false, and it's a whole nother history finna start coming out. But Sipper, I believe, is where Pekod is. Pekod is, and I'm gonna show you that Pekod is some of the schools that they had, and then how that they was in the land, and then how it's even mentioned that, Pekod is in Babylon, and how that they would, kind of like get everything. Man, I'm gonna show you that, and then I'm gonna show you the schools and so forth that the peoples went to, them Babylonian schools that they developed after they got our heritage, been in our heritage since Exodus, but how did, when they took some of us to Babylon, I got a video showing the Sephardims went home to Sipper, the Amorites basically, but the Sephardims been in our heritage since 722 BC. But we got snatched up and took into Babylon. Well, the first time in the book of Ezekiel, that was 595 BC. But the most important time in the last blow that smashed us is gonna be during the book of Jeremiah around 588 BC, when they, kidnapped us and took us to Babylon, and how that those Babylonian scribes, the Sephardims, that was placed in 722 BC in Samaria, that they didn't do our heritage properly, went to Babylon, their homeland, in Pekod, where I show got to be where a Sipper is. And let me show this right here. Alright, if you go to it'll be, alright, this will be the book of Ezekiel. And then when you get down to that'll be Ezekiel 23. Ezekiel 23. And then when you get down to 22, basically I'm saying this chapter of was talking about how that the Creator called, he was telling the prophet Ezekiel, to go before them and show them different signs and so forth. And then he mentioned how that the tribe of Judah was like, he had given them a name, Obalaha, and then her sister, Aholia, and how that they was bust open by the Egyptians, and how the Egyptians, while we was virgin from any religions and didn't have no religions on us, and how the Egyptians broke us in and put their filthiness on us, and then how that they was the first to get their filthiness in on us and so forth, and then that explained that. But when you get down to 22, and that's Ezekiel 23, 22, surely, O Holiba, this said the Elohim, Yah, I am going to arouse against you the lovers from whom you turn in disgust, and I will bring them upon you from all around, the Babylonians and all the Chaldeans and the people of Pekod. Look, you see Pekod right there. Sword and cord and all the Assyrians with them. All right. Now, I mean, if you go to to uh to the internet and it got a map of the schools where it show you the schools that was that they had, and then how at Pekod, you know what I'm saying? Pekod was part of the school system for the Babylonians when they was putting together these schools and so forth, and then how that they had academies and so forth there. Let me see if I can find it now. I just had it. But the Babylonian academies at Pekod, Pekod and Plumbleeder and a few other places. Man, they had schools and so forth, and in those schools is where that they translated the biblical history from. You know, the Tanakh history, and then they turned it into Judaism. All right, then I might have to read some of this. The Ptolemy, yes, it was. All right. Yeah, so you know those scribes from Babylon, that was placed in our land in 722 BCE didn't have the our heritage completely, and how that they took a portion of it to Babylon, and then had schools there, you know, and then as I showed it, the people from Pekod was from Babylon, you know, and then I showed it them in the land, you know, so they would go to Super, Pekod, and all the other places, Plumblita, and they would write books after having a tour. Then they'll start writing their interpretations, you know, and then these sages and these rabbis were like learned scribes, and then they you know, created what you would call Judaism. But they was only able to do that is after we, you know, Israelites had, you know, did this. This is what we did to break covenant. And then after we broke covenant, you know, we never recovered. And then that's what caused our captivity. You know, if you go to man, this would be First Kings 12, and then you know this is basically First Kings 12 is talking about how Jeroboam went to Egypt after being chased there by Solomon, and then how he come out after Solomon's death, and you know this is in 931 BC, and then how he come out of Egypt with the Egyptian religion, and then put that on the northern kingdom, on the whole northern kingdom, all the 10 tribes. He put that on them, on us, and that stayed with us all the way up to the time that we was destroyed. But you know, look, all right, this is First Kings. This is 25. I'm gonna start. Jeroboam fortified Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim and resided there. He moved out from there and fortified Peniel. Jeroboam said to himself, "Now the kingdom may well return to the house of David, if these people shall go up to offer sacrifice at the house of the Elohim in Jerusalem. The heart of the people would turn back to their master, King Rehoboam of Judah. They would kill me and go back to King Rehoboam of Judah." So the king took counsel and made 2 golden calves. He said, to the people. You have been going up to Jerusalem long enough. This is your God, O Israel, who brought you up from the land of Egypt. He set up in Bethel and placed the other in Dan. Oh man, look, that proved to be a cause of guilt, for the people went up to worship the calf at Bethel and the one at Dan. Man, that's that golden calf. That's that same golden calf that we got messed up with during Moses' time, after he had left us alone for a little spirit of time, a little period of time, and then how we went to worshiping the Egyptian religion, the same golden calf. Man, if you, let me see if I could pull that up real quick. Awful how we Israelites break bad. We'll break bad real fast. That'd be Genesis 30. No, that's not Genesis. That'd be Exodus. Let's see. Where in Exodus is this, where we took off to the golden calf worship. Alright, that'd be Exodus 31. And let me get it over here in the Tanakh, because it always reads better in the Tanakh. Exodus. Shalom to the Israelite community. I know I've been kind of slow on putting some of this history out. A lot on my tables, but we're going to keep it moving forward. So, alright, that'll be 13. Alright. And this is what Jeroboam brought out on us that kind of like never left us in a sense. Alright. Exodus 31:13. And let's see. And he says, speak to the Israelite people and say, nevertheless, you must keep my Sabbaths. No, the golden calf is going to be 32. Alright, I know I was close by. And when the people saw that Moses was so long in coming down from the mountain, the people gathered against Aaron and said to him, come and make us God who shall go before us. For that man Moses, who brought us from the land of Egypt, we do not know what has happened to him. Aaron said to them, take off the gold earrings that are in your ears, and wives and your sons and your daughters, and bring them to me. And all the people took off the earrings and that were in their eyes, and brought them to Aaron, that he took from them and cast them in a mold, and made a molten calf. And they exclaimed, this is your God, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. And then that golden calf stuff is the same as what Jeroboam did. You know what I'm saying? And that calf is Hathor. But look here, we can see how we had been messed up on the Egyptian religion from the beginning. You know, man, if you go to Ezekiel 23, the word of the Elohim came to me, O mortal, once there was two women, daughters of the one mother. They played the whore in Egypt. They played the whore while they still young. Their breasts were squeezed, and their virgin nipples were handled. Their names were the elder, the one Obala, and her sister Obaha. They became mine, and they bore sons and daughters. As for the name Ohala is Samaria, and Obala is Jerusalem. Ohala whored while she was mine, and she lusted after her lovers, after the Syrian warriors clothed in blue, governors and perfect horsemen mounted on steeds, all of them handsome and young fellows. She bestowed her favors upon them, upon all the pick of the Assyrians, and defiled herself with all their fetish. After which she lusted, she did not give up the whoring she had began with the Egyptians, for they had lain with her in her youth. I mean, I can almost show this as being true all the way, because we know in the book of Ezekiel, that's in 590 something BC. But if you go to the book of Hosea, you're gonna see, and this is in I believe 735. Here it is. I turned right to it. This is in 753 BCE. You're gonna see this right here. Look, this is in 753 BC right here. Make sure I got the timeline right. Alright, 753 BCE. Alright, you're gonna see. Ephraim surrounded me with deceit, the house of Israel with gold, but Judah stands firm with Yah and is faithful to the Holy One. Ephraim treads the wind and pursues the gale. He is forever aiding illusions to calamity. Now they make a covenant with Assyria. Now all is carried into Egypt. So we know the Egyptians and the Syrians been had us messed up in a long time. So us whoring around with them, and Assyria did, the Babylonian gods too, and us whoring around with them messed us up. But as you read this, it tell you how the Egyptians messed us up, and how that they was the first to put their religions on us, you know, and we was messed up when those Babylonian scribes got placed in Samaria, and we was already on Egyptian religion. So Jeroboam put that golden calf on us in the northern kingdom, allowed those Babylonian scribes to move in, but because they cool with the Egyptians too. The Babylonians was, man, at one time, I could show you. I think I got videos showing that they exchanged letters and information during the time of our exodus from Egypt, the Babylonians and the Egyptians. That the only time that the Egyptians didn't get along with the Babylonians is when Ashkenazi, the Scythians, got enlarged in Babylon and kind of like, changed it around and so forth. But that's what allowed those peoples to come into our land in 722 BC that didn't do our culture properly. And then how that they would take what they had back to Babylon, to Pekod, and to Plumblita, and all little points of Babylon, and then they would have schools there. They would have schools there, and then they would translate our heritage, our history. They would translate our history, and then call it Judaism or religion that they could spread around and make everybody part of. If you become part of Judaism, then that's saying that you are somewhat an Israelite after generations. They'll kind of forget about you being converted and so forth. Yeah. So, that's how, Judaism come about, is because that they, was placed in our land. And there's something else that they real slick in the Babylonians history, is that they try to say that Jehoiakim, who did Egyptian religion and who Almighty Yah hated, he was on Egyptian religion, Jehoiakim, and that he went to Babylon after being taken there, and that he built a school meant to study Torah. Makes no sense when he was on Egyptian religion and was the cause of us getting kicked out the land. I'm gonna go into that too, one of these days. All right, Israelites. I hope that I showed you something that makes sense to you. Is that how that the people that was placed in our land that didn't follow our heritage properly had schools already in Babylon, and when we got took to Babylon during the Babylonian wars in the book of Jeremiah, that those folks come and got our heritage and then took it to Pekod and other places. And this is in the book of Jeremiah too. And it talk about the Babylonians and how look, Israel are scattered sheep, herded by lions. First the king of Assyria devoured them. In the end, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon crushed their bones. Assuredly, this said the Elohim of hosts, the Yah of Israel: I will deal with the king of Babylon and in his land as I dealt with the king of Assyria, and I will lead Israel back to his pasture, and he shall gaze in Carmel and Bashan, and eat his field in the hill country of Ephraim and Gilead. All right, that happened in the book of Ezra, Nehemiah, Zechariah, Haggai, and Malachi. The iniquity of Israel shall be sought, and there shall be none. The sins of Judah, and none shall be found, for I will pardon those I allow to survive. Advance against her, the land of Merinth, and against the inhabitants of Pekod. Pekod. They're gonna be them got our heritage, and those are the folks. Them Babylonians went back to their land and dissected our heritage and turned it into a religion. Ruin and destroy after them to the last, says the Elohim. He was telling the Persians that, because the Persians is what came and destroyed Babylon. And this is a thing that they try to say that we stayed there. But as you read, they're going to see he told us to leave. Do just as I have commanded you. Heart war in the land and vast destruction. How the hammer of the whole earth has been hacked and shattered. How Babylon has become an appellant among the nations. I set a snare for you, O Babylon, and you are trapped unawares. You are found and caught because you challenged the Elohim. The Elohim has opened his armory and brought out the weapons of his wrath. For that is the task, O my Elohim, Yah of hosts, in the land of Chaldeans. Come against her from every quarter. Break open her granaries. Pile her up like heaps of grain, and destroy her. Let her have no remain. Destroy all her bulls. But I think as you read down, it would tell us to leave Babylon, to get on down from there, and to come on back home. And that we would come home, and we did come home from Babylon, all the Israelites, because he told us not to stay because of Babylon was going to be destroyed. And Israelites come home. All right, Israelites. They created a religion off of our heritage, the ones that was placed in 722 BC, and then they got a free ride home when the Babylonians came in the book of Jeremiah and took us to Babylon. And then that's when they'll start creating schools and so forth off of our books. And then they would, do our heritage and so forth. They was Amorites. I could show that the Gabonites been in our heritage, that was Amorites for a long time. And that, those Gabonites that was in our heritage for a long time were Amorites also. Let me see if I can pull that up. Book of Joshua. We got tricked by some slick folks when we left Egypt, and then how they put dirty clothes on, and then came to Prophet Joshua saying that they had been, from a long ways, and then how that they was really close. See, the Gabonites, these Gabonites right here were Amorites. If you go to, I think that's 2 Samuel 21. Let me see, 2 Samuel 21. 2 Samuel 21. You will see that it says, the Gabonites were not of the children of Israel, but were of the remain of the Amorites. And then they tricked us during Joshua's time, and then we made them carriers of the waters and to serve in whatever temple and congregation we had. And then when we built the temple, that they was up in there, and when we got rented out, that they had temple knowledge and books and so forth at their disposal, and then that them Gabonites who was Amorites would take our books and so forth to Babylon, and then they would translate them there, and then that's where you get, Judaism. All right, Israelites. Message from the Israelite Brotherhood.